Hello, welcome to day 27 of 30 days of JavaScript. Let's see what we have. Compact object. Okay. Given an object or array object, return a compact object. A compact object is the same as the original object except with keys containing false values removed. Okay, false values are not there basically. Okay, what are the examples? Null 0, false 1, the value should be 1. Correct. Null 0 and false, all of them have been removed. Okay, this is an array. This is an object which can contain anything along with an array. This is an array, and okay, that's where it will get complicated because we have to manage array as well as object. But I know I have to use reduce here. Why? There's actually whenever there is a group of data like an object or an array or a list or a set, something like that, there are three things which comes in place. Okay, one is a map, second is a filter, third is reduce. Okay, we use filter when there is a group of values from which we just want to extract some type of value. Okay, like all the numbers greater than 5. So filter is a very good thing for that. You can use reduce also. Technically you can use reduce also in that, but filter is the better one. Yeah. Second is map. So there are 10 items and you want to map all those items to something else. Okay, convert, let's say 10 numbers to 10 strings. Okay, so there is a one-to-one mapping. So generally for these kind of things, we use map. Okay, reduce is something which generally we use when you have to do something for the entire array. Okay, or the object, and the values might get reduced by removing them or by combining them. So for example, the best example for reduce is sum of numbers. So if there is an array, you are reducing all those values to one single value, right? So at that point, using reduce makes sense. So what we will do is, I'll have to think actually. If object equal to null, return null. I'm not fully sure if it is yes. First, I will have to check whether this object is an array or not. Okay. If array dot is array, okay. If it is an array, then I can use reduce. So reduce JavaScript. I know there are two things actually. One is the function, second is the initial value, and in function we have accumulator and the current value. But let me get the implementation. Reduce JavaScript function. Let me check this. Array1 dot reduce. We are passing the accumulator and the current value, and accumulator will get added to the current value, and this is the initial value. Okay, let's start. This is the function. Okay, and this is the initial value. So let's start with that. Obj dot reduce. Actually, I will have to return this. So obj dot reduce. There will be function. Okay, and the second will be initial value. Initial value, because it is an array, I'm giving an empty array. Okay, now the reduce, sorry, will have a accumulator and a current value, right? So in this case, they are adding it, so which means that they are just doing the addition. In our case, we will have to see what we have to do. Accumulator. So by default, the starting value of accumulator is this. Okay. And this, what do we want to do? First, we want to get the current value. Now, if that current value, let me think. If that current value can still be an array or it can still be an object, right? So for example, this is the input. Current value will be null, 0, 5, this, and this, right? So at this point, it is an array or it can be an object also. So what I'm thinking is that for this, if I just see this unit, which is false and 16, this itself is our new object, right? And for this entire thing, we have to apply the compact object again. So I think it should be let result equals to compact object current value. Okay, now if result is not equals to null, and result, actually just result, because it will take care of, if it is false, it will it will give us false. If it is null, then also false. If it is zero, then also false, right? So if result is there, we just want to add it to accumulator. Push in accumulator, what do we have to push? Result. And now we have to return the accumulator so that it can be used for the next task. Okay, next loop. Okay. So what I'm thinking is that, let's say we have an array. Let me use this array only. Okay. Wait. So this is the first time this is getting called. Here the accumulator value will be empty array. The current value for the first time, first level. Okay, this is the first level. In this, for null, we'll pass it to this again. Okay, and because this is null, it will return a null. Okay, got it. Yes. So you might have to think it through. Let me share it like this. Okay, this is the first level we are talking about. The value, current value is null. Okay, now we'll pass that to null. So our result in this case, object is null, return null, right? So we'll return null here. Okay. Now I think I should do one more thing. If it is not an array, I should return the object here. Yes. Let me expand and show it to you. So we have result is null. Now this is false. Therefore, it is not getting added to the accumulator, right? So at this point, accumulator is empty. Okay. Now let's do, I will add these equals to two separate various values. Okay. Now at second point, we have 0. So let's pass 0. That will get passed to compact object. Okay. The result is, it is not null, so this won't get used, but it is not an array, so it won't get used, and it is an object, so the result will be 0 here. Okay. Now because result is 0, we cannot push it to result, and therefore this accumulator will still be empty. Now let's do this again. What is the next value? After 0, we have 5. 5. What will be the result? This won't get run. Okay, when we pass this 5 as a current value to object, this will not get run. This entire code will not get run, and this object will return 5. It will return it true, and therefore it will get added to the accumulator, which will become 5. Okay. Now let's do this again for other items. Remember, this will work only for the non-object values right now. We will have to take care of the object part also. Second is 0, right? No, sorry, not the second. 0, first, 2, 3. Third index is this array of 0. We'll pass that to compact object. Okay. As soon as we pass that to the compact object, now that compact object, it is not null, but it is an array, right? And because it is an array, again that same process will start, and we by now we have seen that if there are null 0 or 5, null 0 or false values, they just don't get used, right? So in the end, it will return an empty array. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, because the initial value is this, it should return an empty array. I'll just have to see whether this empty array gets added to this or not. I think it should, and it should become, let me check. Yeah, this is an empty array, so it is getting added. Okay. We might have to think about this later on. Okay. And therefore our result will be 5, an empty array. Similarly, we pass the false and 16, and the resultant will be a 16 with an empty array. Sorry, 16 with an array. So I hope this one works. Can I run this? Because if there is any array related, only array related question, maybe it might work. Okay, 2 cases passed. That means we are on right track. Now we have to cover up the object part also. So in object, what I will do is, in object, obviously the key will be taken care of, okay, by the object itself. So we just have to keep on focusing on the value, and in value, we already know that we can pass it to compact object. So I think it should be almost copy paste. Not almost, but yeah. Let me copy this. paste it, but I'll have to check object dot check if item variable is object in JS. I think object dot is object. Okay, type of. And because we have already checked whether it is an array or not, we don't need to take care of that now. If type of is an object, not the X, but the obj, we don't need to check anything else. Null has been taken care of, array has been taken care of, object. Okay, if it is an object, then we have to apply it on the keys actually. So object dot keys, because keys will give us an array, and on array we can apply reduce function. We cannot apply reduce function on objects directly. Okay, so this will give us all the keys that we need. Accumulator, instead of current value, I will write current key. I'll have to see this. And instead of empty array, it should be an empty object, because now the accumulator will be part of an object, right? And instead of pushing it, I'll have to write current key equals to result. I think so. This I will have to check. And for result, we need to pass value, right? So instead of this, we'll pass obj current key. Okay, this will give us the value. Let me try out this. Okay, let me try out for this. Okay, so in this case, the keys are A and B. Okay, so let's start again. Current key A, result will be, we will have to see what it is. But for that, null is getting passed, and therefore this will return the null, and therefore it will be null. And it will not get added to the accumulator. Therefore, the accumulator at this point will remain an empty object. Okay, now let's go for the second one. So I'll use something called this to understand that this is the second iteration. In second iteration, we have B. So key is B. We are passing false and 1 to this, which is an array. And by default, we know at this point that this will reduce it to 1, but an array of 1, right? So this should be 1. And because it is true, it should get set to this object as a current key. Current key is B. So it should be B with 1. I think that's it. Let me check. B with 1. There might be some edge cases. I'm not fully confident, but otherwise, I think we have written a pretty solid code. And yeah, reducer function is the key here. So there might be some edge cases like equal to this. Okay, all of them passed. Great. Then I think that's it. Beats 84. Let's see the top answer. They've used filter based on the Boolean value. We have used reduce. Either one is fine, but I think reduce is a much better one because not technically. In reduce, we are focusing on the previous values also. In filter, we could have followed a different approach. So yeah, either one is fine. Maybe this one is a bit straightforward. I'm not fully sure. That's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.